Maxime,
Oui.
it's nice having you with l'apéro o'clock.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here.
I'm glad to be here.
I'm taking my phone with me, and
Okay.
I'm going to check if we have any message from anyone, comments, as we are discussing what you have achieved and your career path. So, Maxime Pouvreau, I'm very happy to have you with us today.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Because we met quite a few years ago, I think at the beginning of Petipo or not too long after.
Yeah, very, very beginning. I think it was close to like 6 years ago.
6 years ago.
Yeah.
And you've gone a long way. But as we were just saying, it's not over yet, far from there.
Yeah.
But you've been very successful at what you're doing.
Thank you.
You're a very nice man. You are now at the head of Petipo. Alors, in the US, I think you're described as a manufacturer of French-inspired gourmet desserts.
Yes.
And you are the head of a ship of, of 30 team partners.
Yep.
So divided between production and administrative work. And so first of all, congratulations.
Thank you.
That's quite an achievement. So Maxime, if you don't mind, what I like to do when I start those casual discussion is to give a brief introduction about who you are.
Sure.
Then people know where you come from. So Maxime or Max, you have no preference to be called either or.
Either or.
But Pouvreau is your last name, and that you have no choice.
This one you can't change it.
You cannot change it. You arrived in San Francisco in 2009.
Yep.
Where you worked for Koi. Quoi? J'ai déjà fait. I did that the last time. I told you.
I know. But you're not the only one. A lot of people call it Koi, but it's called Quoi. Even in English and American, it's Quoi.
Quoi? Well, I keep on saying it the wrong way, but hopefully after today, I will say it right. So Quoi, for people who don't know, is a fantastic fine dining restaurant based in North Beach, which is closed.
Yes. I mean, it's closed for COVID, but yeah.
For COVID, yeah. I mean, yeah, not for good. Not for good, for COVID.
Yeah.
But if you're looking for a fine dining experience in the city, this is really is going to be in the top place. So you work there as a pastry chef.
Yep.
Then that was back in 2009, 2010. Then you went on to work for Radius. From 2013, 2014. And you started actually in 2013 as well.
Yep.
So 7 years ago. Petipo is located in Emeryville. As we just said, we talked about the number of employees you have working with you. You are present in more than 6,000 retailers, retail location, which is amazing. And I don't know, you're going to tell us how you manage this, because that sounds like a lot.
I can go through some details for sure. I can explain a little bit.
Because I'm like, well, I don't know how you do that. It's 50,000 jars a day you could be manufacturing on production.
It's a little bit less than that, but it's around that. But we can get up to 40,000 right now. Yeah.
Well, it's not bad. 40,000 jars in a day. So we need everybody who is listening. A lot of Petipos, they have a lot to do, and they can do anything you want. So if you want to order pallets, you're more than welcome. No problem.
No problem.
No problem. And you are now available as well, not only on the West Coast, because you started here in the Bay Area, but I mean, your products are being found on the East Coast as well.
Yep. It's nationwide, all the way to Alaska, Hawaii, Florida.
There you go. Well,
Yeah.
so that's one more challenge as well, is distribution. It's great to manufacture, but then you have to, and those are not, they are fragile, they are perishable. So you have
Exactly.
probably some things to, and you've been very successful with big distribution as well, because we find your product at Whole Food, Costco as well, in 25 locations in NorCal.
Yep, we just started that a month ago.
Very well. So, I mean, we can find you pretty much everywhere. And I have a few questions for you.
Sure, go ahead.
So, number one, why San Francisco? How did you arrive in San Francisco? Is it by chance? By you had to come? You
A
came
girl.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
I met a girlfriend. I met a girl in Paris who was studying at La Sorbonne, on like an exchange student. She was from Santa Cruz, and I fell in love with her. I was at the time I was working in Paris at a Le Meurice, which is a famous hotel, and fell in love with her. And she had to come back to California, and I was like, I'll come check it out. And then 12 years later, I'm still here. And I'm not with that girl anymore, but that's okay. Yeah.
Well, at least she's listening. It's okay. Things happen for good reasons.
Yes, I mean, I think we're both very happy this way, so it's good.
There you go.
Yeah.
So no hard feeling.
No hard
Very
feeling.
well. So when you first arrived in San Francisco, did you feel like it will be a place that you would stay right away, or did it
Yes.
take time to go?
So I've actually traveled quite a bit before I got to San Francisco. I lived in England and New Zealand, and I did like a round the world tour when I was younger. And I was always like looking for the next place I'm gonna go, always like looking where am I gonna go next. But when I arrived in San Francisco, it was just this weird feeling. Within the first 2 weeks, I was like, wow, I think this is home. And I just fell in love with it. I love the vibe. I love the everyone is trying to start a business, the entrepreneurial spirit. I really fell in love with that. And I was just like, and also I'm a rock climber. And so there's a lot of mountains around here, and I love all the outdoors. And I love that it's a city that's not too big. It's still a city, but there's a lot of outdoor stuff to do around here. And I just love it. And so decided to stay.
Wow. So you did travel, you did a all around the world tour for
1 year, yeah.
For 1 year.
Yeah, on the backpack. Yeah, when I was 20. I was 20, yeah.
Wow, great. Wow. So you went to Asia, you went to Russia,
Yeah.
did you go pretty much?
I did Southeast Asia, I did India for 3 months, and I did Singapore, Malaysia, and then I went to Australia, New Zealand, and then back home.
Wow, look at that.
Yeah.
Wow, that could be an entire subject for an apéro.
Yeah, let's cheers to that. Yeah.
Yeah, just for this. Yes, I'm sorry, I'm branding myself like crazy, you know. So Maxime, so when you arrived in San Francisco, did you work right away as a pastry chef? That was your, because did you learn this in France?
Yeah.
Can you tell us how what's your background with?
Sure. I did an apprenticeship in France. So I actually stopped like the regular school system when I was 15, and I went into work in a bakery as an apprentice for 3 years. And I would work at the bakery for 3 weeks a month, and then 1 week a month I would go to a vocational college. And I did that for about 3 years, and then I learned the trade on how to be a pastry chef. And then when I arrived in San Francisco, I went to like knock on all the doors of the fancy restaurants, and Koi took me on and gave me a visa, and then took me for 1.5 years.
You know, it's amazing in the food industry, the number of people that become very successful and how they get their job is by knocking on doors.
Yes. Yes.
It seems like you almost have to knock on doors to get where you want. I mean,
that's how they do it in restaurant. So you knock on the door and they're like, sure, come to work for me for half a day or a day tomorrow for free. And then you work, and then you show that you can work, and then that you're good, and then they hire you. You don't really you almost don't really need a resume.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
I think, I was listening to, I think it was Dominique Rennes who did just what you did, just like that.
Yeah.
She had this chef in San Francisco in mind who she really wanted to work with, where she went to the guy and say, hey, I'm
Can
going
I
to
work
work
with you? Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
That's how it works. Yeah.
Because Quoi is, once again, can you tell us about Quoi for people who don't know what is Quoi about, what kind of food they do? And
so they do very high-end French influenced Californian food. So it's a when I was there, it was a 2 Michelin star. Then I had 3 Michelin star for a while. They were really trying very, very hard to get that 3 Michelin star. And it's all very small plate. It's one fixed menu of like 15 or 16 different dishes, very small amount, and it's very refined, a lot of work behind it. And it was a great learning experience for sure.
yeah, I got the chance to go there once with my wife, and it was fantastic.
Nice.
It was a beautiful experience. So pastry chef, why did you choose? Alors, can you tell us, first of all, I think that's something interesting that I learned. I believe that in France, we learn pastry.
Yes.
And in the US, we don't learn. There is no pastry school.
It's
or
baking.
is there?
There's baking. There's a
Just
lot of
baking.
It's like baking encompasses both of them. In France, there's a very clear distinction between pastry and baker. Desserts. And so I've learned both, right? Obviously, but there is a very clear distinction in France. Here, it's a little bit more muddy, and like people do both.
So do you think that's the reason why French pastry is so diverse in terms of product? I mean, you go to any boulangerie in France, you will find all those crazy cakes. You're like, dude, what? Look at it. It's just
it's amazing. I mean, we have like thousands of years of like legacy of food, and this is like in the US, it's much more new, and there's not as much knowledge, I would say. I mean, it's coming. There's a lot of people now. It's like a big melting pot, but France definitely has this background of food, and I don't know. There's also this idea of a trade and learning a trade very early on that we do in France. Not really. People don't really do this in the US. Here, it's like you go to school, you go to college until you're like 21, and then you go to work or you keep going to do studies. In France, you have this possibility to learn a trade very early on.
And when you say early on, at what age did you?
I was 15.
15 when you took that path.
Yeah.
So at 15 years old, you knew you wanted to be into that field, and that was your thing.
It's so weird. I'm very stubborn, apparently, because I wanted to be a pastry chef when I was like 9, and then when I was 9, during the school vacation, I lived in a small village, and there was one very fancy bakery that I loved and pastry shop, and during the school vacation, I would like go and work for them, like when I was like 9 and 10, and then eventually they took me as an apprentice when I was 15.
Wow, so you were able to work there.
Yeah,
don't say the name.
You probably don't do this anymore. This was back in the day, but like, yeah, I don't know. I was very passionate about it.
So, what did you learn at early age? So, when you started to work there, when you were so young, what was the thing
I think I remember one of the first things that I did was put the icing on the eclairs.
Oh yes.
So, you make like 30, 50 or 100 on Saturday, you make like 150 eclairs, and then you just have the fondant, and then you put it on the eclair, and then there's like a skill with your finger to make it look nice. So I practice that, and then eventually you put the icing on the cakes, and eventually more slowly you learn the different things, and eventually you pipe the eclairs themselves, and just all the different things. Yeah.
So when you are at 15 and when you have to learn this, is there a lot of schools in France where you can go to, or are there just a few? Did you have to leave your family?
No, there's a lot. There's it's called CFA in France. It's those professional schools, and they have hairdressing, aesthetic, mechanics, pastry, baking, cooks. So there's a school with all of those trades. And they're all over France.
Got it. So you didn't have to leave your family or move?
No.
Where are you from in France? Which region were you at?
Les Landes, in the southwest. So Mont-de-Marsan is the town. Yeah.
See, when you start to say that, your accent is coming back.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So where you were at Koi, Quoi,
Quoi.
you said right.
Yeah.
How difficult, because you started pretty damn good. I mean, that's, you're starting to at a 2 or 3 stars Michelin star restaurant.
Yep.
How was the adjustment? How did you fit there?
It was, so I was used to it back from Paris, right? In Paris, I worked at Sanderins, I worked at Le Meurice. So I was used to those kind of environment, very rigid, very military-like, very difficult. And so it was not, when I started working in Paris, that was hard for me. Like, it was like, learning like the hierarchy and working with those people, that was very difficult. But moving to the US, just basically switching from French to English, it was fine. It was a little bit challenging, but it was not as hard as when I first started. Yeah.
Got it. Yeah. And so after that, you worked for Radius, and Petipo came along. Why? How did you see that opportunity? I mean, I have an idea, because I remember at the time when I went to buy yogurt, I was like, dude, there is no, those are not yogurt. Those are, is that what happened?
There's a little bit of a gap in the story that you're missing, which I'll tell you about. There's not very many people that knows it, but
we're not gonna know about it.
So first of all, I've always wanted to start my own business. Like, since I'm very young, I've always, in my head, I was going to start a bakery. I was going to open a pastry shop, and that's what I was going to do. When I was out of Croix, I started taking, when I was at Radius, at the same time as I was at Radius, I started taking business classes at the college in Berkeley. And so I actually got a business degree. And part of the activities and the task at the business degree was to come up with a business plan. And so I came up with a business plan for a bakery. But at the same time, I'm taking those classes, and the teachers always kind of, in America, they're like brainwashing you with scale and the American dream, and entrepreneurship. And a bakery I figured out that a bakery would be actually a little bit difficult to scale. And so I kept thinking about a product that I could scale rapidly, that it would be much easier to scale rather than just opening a lot of bakeries, which is a lot of capital intensive. And then at the same time, I was shopping and living my life and realizing that there's no desserts in the supermarkets here compared to what we would find in France. In France, in the supermarket, the dessert section is as big as a yogurt. There's as many option desserts as there are yogurts. It's crazy. And then here there's like Jello and like rice puddings and like stuff like, but nothing very premium. And that's kind of how the idea started. And then I started developing the recipes at Radius. When the restaurant was closed, I would use their kitchen and develop the product. And then in the morning before my shift started, I would go to the grocery stores and start like selling it. And I did that for about 6 months. And then eventually I left Croix and had my own kitchen. And then it just kind of grew from here.
So once again, you were knocking on doors of grocery stores to say, hey, check it out. This is.
Yeah. Came with a cooler, a bunch of samples, and here, try that.
But were they requiring any kind of FDA or certification, or not really? No.
Yeah, when you're small, they don't ask you much. Eventually, when you get into bigger, like Whole Foods and stuff like that, then yes. But at the beginning, they don't care. Yeah.
And from the get-go, the name you chose was Petipo.
Yes, it took me a little while to find the name, but that was the name, the original name. Yes.
Why Petipo? Can you tell us why you came with that name? And
I mean, so I knew I wanted to make it in glass, and I knew I'm French.
Why in glass?
I think it really is that premium aspect, and in France, the premium desserts are also in glass instead of plastic. And there's also a practical thing. Like it was hard. I couldn't find a machine that would put in plastic and put the seal. It was easier for me to put in a jar and close it by hand. So that was, just kind of practical, but also I like the glass, and it's sustainable. You can reuse it, recycle it endlessly. And so yeah, Petipo. And so I knew I wanted to do something in glass. I knew I wanted it to be French, and I knew I wanted it to be fun and playful, and people to understand it as well, the Americans. And so there's a lot of brainstorming sessions, and it just happened. Yeah.
And can you tell us what means pot in French? Why is it? Why did you keep the French name? And what is a pot for people who don't know? P-O-T.
A little pot is like a little jar, a little container. And so that comes up a lot. That people ask me, what is pot? And there's a little jar. But I think it's pretty intuitive. People just get it. And petite, people know what, in America, English, they know what petite means. And yeah.
And then you chose your logo is a little guy with a marinière.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, just to bring back that that Frenchness. Yeah, and the little guy is like that playfulness and cuteness of the brand.
Yes, and I like one of your tagline. I think I found this on your website. It's happiness in a jar.
Yeah, there you go. Because that's what we want to do. We just want people to try something, eat it, and put a smile on their face.
So how did you do your first testing? Because when you launch a product, especially food, how did you get your feedback from? Was just the sense, your friends, how did you do that?
Well, I was a pastry chef at a restaurant, so I would actually make the recipes and then put it on the menu differently, right? I wouldn't just sell a jar. I would put it into a nicer glass with some toppings, but I would put it on the menu, and then I would see people's feedback right away from the restaurant. And then eventually I figured out that people love that chocolate, people love the lemon, and that's how it got started. The chocolate and the lemon were the first two recipes that we started with.
I have a comment on Facebook from Marion Tiffen, who says that she's finding your Petipo at Whole Food, and her kids are giving her a hard time because she's the one eating them before they can.
So this is funny. So we hear that a lot. We hear that people, like the women, they buy this for their kids, but they end up eating it themselves. So it's for everyone, and I appreciate that. I hear that a lot. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's not only for children, it's really
for everyone.
It's for everyone. So would you consider it as a gourmet dessert, or how do you?
Yeah, it's a gourmet dessert. It's a pot de crème for people that are French and know what pot de crème is. It's like a creme brulee, but without the crust. That's usually
So it has a lot more texture, correct, than just a yogurt. It's thicker.
Exactly.
It's
like a ganache a little bit, but lighter. Yeah, it's like a creme brulee, really, just a creme brulee. Yeah,
but a better creme brulee.
Yeah, sure.
Petipo creme brulee. You don't have. This is not one of your. I'm looking at all the different tastes. Yeah, you don't have a creme brulee one.
No, that's something we're working on, because right now we would need to put a little pack of sugar for people, and we would probably make a different jar. The size of the jar would need to be different, and that's something we're working on.
Got it. So it's a secret project that no one knows about.
Very secret. Don't tell anyone.
No, I will not. I will not share that information. So when you started Petipo, which flavors did you offer when you were knocking on doors of those retailers in the morning with your cooler?
The first two flavors was chocolate and vanilla.
Okay, so the other two flavors are just...
I'm sorry, chocolate and lemon, and then vanilla.
Got it. So you have a frame just behind you. The three you named, we can see the three: the dark chocolate, the vanilla bean,
and then the salted caramel. Yeah.
Salted caramel. So you started with 3, and now you have 5 traditional flavors, and you have 3 plant-based flavors. So you have a total of 8 different flavors.
Yep.
Without counting the secret one coming in, creme brulee. So that's going to be...
We also have 2 that are not so secret that are launching at Whole Foods this season. for the holidays, we have a pumpkin spice and a chocolate mint. So very American flavors that are launching in all the Whole Foods in the country in September and in November for the chocolate mint.
Oh, great. Wow. Okay. So that will be available everywhere, right? On any
All the Whole Foods. Yeah.
Also, so only Whole Foods.
Some other stores will have it, but majority is Whole Foods.
Whole Foods. So you started with 3, and then obviously you got more flavors as you know.
Yep.
Could you tell us about the plant-based ones? And I believe you have 3 flavors. And why did you start to do this? Where it came from? What was the first?
It's a good question. So we have some investors, and my main investor came to me. That was like 5 years ago, and he said, "Hey Max, I really think we should make a plant-based flavor." And I was like, "Oh no! Like, I'm a French pastry chef. I only eat butter and cream, and I don't think we should do plant-based. And I don't think it's making something that's plant-based." And I was like, I'll run something. So I started making recipe, and I was like made a coconut pudding, and I was like, wow, that's actually super tasty. Started and it's plant-based, and so that's kind of how I made the first recipe, and then I worked on more recipes after that.
So you try to so that plant-based flavors really came from an interest from one of your investors.
Yeah, and he was right, because it's one of our top selling flavors now.
Oh wow! So yeah, so at the beginning you were not really in favor of doing it. You were not.
Yeah,
really...
exactly. But now it's selling really well.
Being in favor, being in flavor. Hey, start. Santé. So you have 3 plant-based. You have coconut, coco au riz, le riz au lait, no riz au lait,
Yep.
dark chocolate, and mango passion fruit riz au lait.
Yep.
Which one is your best seller in the plant-based one?
Right now it's the coconut rice.
Coconut rice.
Yep.
Okay. And out of your traditional flavors, which flavor do you?
The chocolate and vanilla are the top 2. Yeah.
Really, like hands down. This
hands
is
down. Yeah.
Traditional people. Everybody like, who doesn't like chocolate?
Exactly. And vanilla also. Vanilla is the top selling flavor in ice cream by far, and it's also doing really well for us.
Got it. And a white chocolate, that cannot happen because that would be too weird, right? Too sweet.
It would be quite sweet, but that's also another secret recipe that I'm working on.
Oh. Let's not talk too loud, Maxime.
Yes.
So how do you make that happen? I mean, as I was saying, I mean, you are in over 6,000
stores. Yeah.
I mean, that's a lot of stores. What was the shifting moment? You must have a lot of different time where the company grew, or you had to make big decisions.
Yeah.
Could you tell us a bit about those 2 or 3 times where you had to pivot and change? And because it's painful to grow, right? It's not easy to grow.
It's super hard. So a lot of the food companies out there, they actually outsource the manufacturing. They have a co-manufacturing that makes the product for them. And we were not able to do that, and we also wanted to maintain the quality. So we always kept the production. And that's always been very challenging. It's very hard to make the product, and and then also, so I started a restaurant, then I moved on to a commercial kitchen, and I moved on to a bigger commercial kitchen. And so every time we moved facility, that was very challenging. And then 1.5 years ago, we went from a facility that was 2,000 square feet to a facility today that is 20,000 square feet. So it was 10 times bigger. And we switched 1.5 years ago, and that was a very, very big moment. It was very difficult. The first 6 months were very hard, getting the machines to work appropriately. We're still having issues. And so every time we changed facilities, that was a big struggle. but now it's running a bit better. And then so that's on the manufacturing side. On the sales side, it was kind of like incremental, right? It was first we got into one Whole Foods, and then we got into 30 Whole Foods, and then we got into 60 Whole Foods, and then 3 years after that we got into all of them, 450. And so it's not like one big moment. It's just kind of like slowly but surely make your way up.
But when you had this switch a year and a half ago, what was the reason why you had to switch?
Because we didn't have the capacity to keep going. It was just too small. It's too small.
Too small, and you had interest from larger chains coming to you, and you had to take the opportunity to grow at the time.
Exactly.
Okay. Well, so as far as large retailer, you have Whole Food, you have Costco. We just talked about Costco, so that's very recent.
That's very recent. That started a month ago. So in Northern California, Costco took a 6-pack of our plant-based chocolate. So it's a very good deal, and we started in 25 to 30, almost 30 stores a month ago, and it's doing really well.
30 stores, okay, very well. And which other chains do you have that?
So we have Whole Foods, we have Safeway.
And Safeway, where here
in Northern California, in the Denver Rocky Mountains area. And also in the Chicago area, it's not called Safeway, it's called Jewel. And what else? We have Publix in Florida.
Okay.
We have Walmart as well, and we have 1,200 Walmarts. Those are the big names.
Yeah, well, yeah, those are pretty big names. I think that people are fairly familiar with. If you're not familiar with those names, something's wrong.
Yeah.
Well, and with the COVID, did you have? Oh, by the way, sorry, Maxime, I have a friend of mine from France. His name is Thomas Lemont, who is watching us. He's an amazing cook and an amazing chef. He worked in Monaco. He worked all around the world in great restaurants.
So in Monaco, he probably worked for Ducasse, right?
I see. I'm not sure where. Thomas, if you can let us know where you work in Monaco, that'd be great. But he's listening to us, and he has a sweet tooth, so I'm sure he's going to be very interested by our discussion. With the COVID, did this had an impact on your business? A good one, a bad one? Did it change anything, or didn't change anything?
When COVID first started in March, the sales went up a little bit in March. And so we felt pretty good about it. But then in April, it just tanked. April was really, really bad. It was very scary. I was really worried. And then in May and June, it started to pick up again. So for us, COVID wasn't really affecting in terms of the sales. It's been it's been okay. What's been very difficult is because we have a manufacturing plant with 20 people. And so it's making sure that our employees stay healthy. And that if one gets sick, that they don't pass it to everyone. So we had to install protocols for all the employees, and making sure that people like wear a mask, and people would check everyone's temperature and their forehead, and washing their hand more often, trying to keep people separate. And so those have been like serious challenges for the manufacturing, but luckily, and touch wood, we haven't had any issues so far.
Well, yeah. I didn't even think of that, but yes, as far as production, you have to be extremely vigilant with this. Well,
exactly.
Yeah, because now I was asking you that question because, since people stay home, well, a lot more than they did in the past. And you will think that, sometimes you don't go to restaurants anymore.
Exactly.
So you will think that, well, I'm going to make myself happy and I deserve good stuff. So I'm going to buy gourmet food.
Exactly. So that's so there's two things to that, right? There's people who's like, they don't go out to eat in a restaurant, so they'll spend more money in a grocery store. But also there's a lot of people that actually decided they're going to start baking themselves. And so they're going to start making their own desserts. And that's what I was really worried about. They were like, okay, now we don't need to buy desserts. We'll just look at the recipe online and make it ourselves. That's why there's no more flours. Everyone was making their own bread. And so that was one of the worry. And so I think that's a little bit what happened in April and May. But now I think people are kind of tired and they make their own. They just buy the desserts now.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, no, yeah, I can see that actually, because especially for the bread, I've never seen on Facebook or Instagram so many of my friends saying, "Hey, look, I'm doing bread."
Yeah,
People, and I'm like, "Well, where is that coming from?" Okay,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah, exactly.
got it. Okay, and so I was thinking about the number of flavors you have, and
Yep.
how do you give yourself um, an objective as far as saying, you know what, I need to come up with 2 new flavors per year, or
Exactly. It's about that. It's a, you
okay.
right. Yeah, it's usually about 1 to 2 flavors per year.
And that flavor, so could you guide us through the process on how you, now that you don't have a restaurant to test those anymore?
Yeah. So now I also look at data, and I look at what like people want in America, but also look at what I want to make. Like, what do I want to eat myself? Because I come up with a recipe. I have a small room next to my office where I have a little stove. It's like a mini R&D kitchen, and then I just come up with some flavors, and then I have all my staff try. I have my friends try, and then I get feedback, and then that's kind of how it works. And then if people like it, then there you go, we launch it.
Wow. That does your investors have the word to say? Do you make them try?
Absolutely, absolutely, yeah.
Okay. Hey guys, if anyone is online looking at us, if you have any questions, do not hesitate to ask those questions as Maxime and I are talking. Then I can ask him those questions directly. Okay. So, so we talked about 3 new flavors you're working on:
Yep.
the creme brulee, the chocolate mint,
And the
and
pumpkin spice.
the pumpkin spice.
Yep.
But those 2 last ones are just for the season. You're
Yes.
gonna see if they work, then maybe they stay, or if they don't work, maybe.
Those are mostly flavors that comes up in the fall and the winter, and so those are gonna stop after Christmas.
Got
For
it.
sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they're not gonna stay as a.
No. Hopefully they'll come back next year. If it does well, we'll come back next year, but we'll see.
Got it. But this year is the first year where you have those 2 new
Yes.
flavors coming in.
Yes.
Okay. Do you so as far as new things, except flavors, do you work on new packaging? Do you work on new?
Yes. I have it right here. I'll show you. But we're launching a 2-pack.
Oh, yeah.
The jar will actually go like this. There'll be 2 jars. I only have one here, but well, I have a second one here. But yeah, that's kind of how it would look.
Oh wow, very nice.
So it's a 2-pack, but that's not really it's not new flavors, but it's a new packaging.
Okay, so you're always trying to find new ways to.
Yeah, exactly. Trying to improve all the time. You have to always keep working and trying to make something to improve on the product and to get people to be excited about the brand.
Are you looking for avenues to change the consistency of your product to make it, just you can drink it with a straw, you can, just.
Not really. Right now, actually, what we're trying to do is to actually have a consistent product, because we're still a very artisanal manufacturer, and so sometimes the product is a little bit more thick, and then sometimes it's a little bit more liquid, and so trying to have a product that's always the same has been very challenging, and that's something we're trying to work on right now.
Got it. What, talking about the success of Petipo, what do you think made this success possible? What was the best asset of Petipo, and how did you arrive to being where you are today?
I think I'm very lucky that there was not much competition when I started. There's very little product that are high end like this, and so that was the big part of it, right? I was the only one making this. So, but then it took a lot of hard work and just constant push, constant like. There's a lot of failures throughout the process. There was a lot of mistakes. There was a lot of errors, but never giving up. That was what a big part of it. And also I was able to surround myself with a lot of people that were very, very important in the growth of Petipo. It's not just me. There was my team, but also my supportive, like I have some family here in America that really helped me out, and friends. And it's just a whole that was able to take us forward.
Very well. So what's next for Petipo except those flavors? That's where you grow. You have your niche. You have your marketing. You have your branding. It's set. So that's you see Petipo having maybe 20 flavors down the 15 flavors down the road.
Yeah, exactly. It's more flavors. We're looking at a different product line that I can't talk about it. It's but we're working on a different product line, and but the goal is to be really successful with what we currently have. In the US, we're in 6,000 stores. It sounds like a lot, but there are 35,000 stores in America. So there's a lot to do. We still have a lot of room to grow. And so that's what we're going to keep doing, keep making really tasty product and try to get into more stores and try to have fun doing it.
Got it. My friend Thomas just messaged me. I'm trying to see what he's saying. My friend Thomas, who is a chef. Too late, sorry. I'm trying to see what he's, sorry to, okay. Well, sorry, Maxime. I was trying to see what my friend Thomas is telling me, but okay, got it. What do you think of your product? Is it really matching what American people are? Because there is still a lot of education to do about your product, right? I mean, it's not a natural.
I think there was a lot of education to do. We did a lot of demos, right? We go to the stores and we have like sampling and people taste it, and that's been very, very helpful. It's very hard to start a food brand without doing that, especially for a product that's a little obscure that people don't know about. And now we're in 6,000 stores. It's very hard to do that across 6,000 stores. So how do you convey the message? And so now we have to do a lot of marketing. And that takes a lot of resources. And that's definitely more challenging now. But yeah.
Testing the product is key, right? You want someone to have a bite of your product.
Exactly.
In order to know what it is. So how do you do that? How does it work? You have companies who do that, or you have, when you deal with Whole Foods,
So Whole Foods has their own. At the beginning, I mean, I did a lot myself. In Northern California, the first few years, I would even fly to different cities and do it myself. But then we hire people, and then Whole Foods has their own people that does it. Some grocery stores have their own people. Sometimes you just have to hire other people. Yeah.
So how many people do you have in your sales that goes, or marketing, or how do you divide your company?
So right now in sales, it's just me, plus another guy in New York. Yeah, one guy in New York who goes visit the stores. But the news of the day is that we actually have another guy in sales starting on Monday, and his name is Pierre.
It must be fantastic.
He will be. He is. Yeah.
Maxime, you hired the best.
Yes, I did.
We don't want Pierre to have a big head. He hasn't started yet.
Yes, exactly. So he's starting on Monday. I'm very excited. So that'll be good. Yeah.
So what is he going to do? He's going to cover the.
He's going to take on the head of sales. So together we're going to work together as a team, and then we'll just cover the whole country. Yeah.
Very well.
Yeah.
Maxime, I don't think I have more questions for you about. Petipo and cheers. I've been drinking I'm not showing when I'm drinking, but I'm drinking. It's secret, right? You can drink anything in that. That's what is good. Can go out.
Exactly.
Is there? I'm trying to think if there is anything else that could be, where our people can really learn from you. But you were very clear as far as how you took that. That path. I mean, from a very young age, where it brought you, it did not come by luck. It came by studying.
Yeah, a lot of hard work, but I think there's a fair amount of luck.
Really?
I think so. I think I was able to I was lucky to meet a lot of the people that helped me out through the time, you know. I was lucky that I was born with a very like healthy family, you know, like, you know, there's a fair amount of luck into that, but you're right, a lot of hard work.
Yeah, I mean, and you know, I can say, I mean, I saw you through the years, and I saw you at different events, and I saw how hard you were working it. I mean, you were really
Yeah,
pushing the
I'm
product.
very stubborn.
Well, that's good.
When I
Right?
want something, I get it usually.
Good. So, do you have as an objective to climb the Himalayas or something like this as a climber?
You know, one of my goals in climbing would be to climb El Capitan in Yosemite.
Wow. Yeah.
That would be a good goal. Yeah.
So let me ask you, will you climb it with or without those?
Oh no, definitely with a rope. Yeah, and with the hooks and stuff. Yeah, yeah. I'm crazy, but not that crazy.
Not that crazy. Oh, good. Well, Maxime, hey, I want to thank you for being with l'apéro o'clock, which is every Thursdays. I'm sorry for last week. Last week we had some technical difficulties, and this week we nailed it down thanks to my son, who helped me out figuring out. But thank you for your time.
Thank you as well.
Thank you for sharing those information, and I hope it's going to be, you know, giving some good feedback, some good inspiration for someone who wants, you know, to start a business and try to be as successful as you are. We all wish you the best success, because
thank you.
It's, as you said, I mean, 6,000 retail locations sounds like a lot, but there is a lot more to get.
Exactly.
So if you have not tried Petipo, you should really try. They have fantastic product, amazing taste. Now you know who is behind it. Maxime is not the only one, but he's at the head of it, and he worked his butt off for bringing Petipo to where it is. So thank you for bringing us great product, Maxime. Continue. We're looking forward to test those new flavors coming to the market, those 2 official one-on-one that you're working on. And well, we see you soon. Thank you.
Thank you.
Santé.
Santé.
À bientôt. Maxime, be well. And we're looking to see your product on more shelf, on more flavors.
Excellent.
Merci beaucoup.
Take care.
Salut Maxime. Bye bye.
Bye.
Ciao, ciao. Santé.
Santé.
Santé.